I'm not sure how long it'll go.
If you were to become a millionaire tonight, would you drop out of school tomorrow? Right? Eric Pittman made a bet with his parents, and he said, okay, if I become a millionaire by 18, can I drop out of school? And he said, sure. So he took a little bit of money that his grandma gave him, and he invested into cryptocurrency, and at 18, he made about $1.5 million in return. So he dropped out of school.
Oh my God.
Cryptocurrency made its first appearance in the late 90s, and has now resurfaced due to the negative influence that the market has on our economy. And money is everything, right? We use money for every single transaction, whether it's a good, a service, or food, right? So it applies to all of us. And I've acquired all this information from credible sources such as scholarly journals, a documentary, and also newsletters that pertain within the last 5 years regarding cryptocurrency, in particular, Bitcoin. Bitcoin is innovative, exciting. However, uncertainty and risk of a new accounting system, especially because it's so contrary to the one that we have now, brings a lot of fear and skepticism to the masses. So first I'll be talking about, okay, what is Bitcoin? Secondly, I'll be talking about why it has been so famous as of recently. And lastly, I'll be talking about whether or not it could be the future to currency as we know it. So now that I gave a brief breakdown, let's go start off with what is Bitcoin. Okay, so Bitcoin is one of the many cryptocurrencies that are in today. And according to dictionary.com, a trusted site for the definition of words, cryptocurrency is digital currency in which encryption techniques are used to regulate the generation of currency and also verify the transactions that go along with that currency without a centralized banking system, which makes a big difference to what we have today. And Bitcoin specifically uses something called blockchain. And according to Andy Extrans, author of Bitcoin and Beyond, a scholarly journal, on September 30th, 2015, a blockchain is a ledger that records every Bitcoin transaction ever made. A copy of the transaction is held by each miner and is used as proof of ownership of all Bitcoin. Chronological order is important in the blockchain. These miners are either individual or group running a Bitcoin software in order to verify transactions. They compete to run the latest transactions. The reward of these verifications are Bitcoins for the miners who verify all the transactions. And here's like a little graph of which gives a little more of a fundamental breakdown of what Bitcoin is. Unfortunately, I don't have enough time, but it uses blockchain in order to serve as an accounting system. And that's what Bitcoin is. So now that I talked about what Bitcoin is, I'm going to go ahead and start as to why it's gained so much fame as of recently. So Bitcoin has, in the last 2 years, increased in value for about like 2,500%, right? So in 2009, 10-ish, when it was started, it was worth 7 cents, and it peaked 7 years later to about $20,000, right? And according to Chico Harlan, writer of the Vancouver Sun, on February 10th, 2018, he wrote about Jacob Melvin, who dropped out of school, bought 29 Bitcoin for about $26,000, and then a couple years later made $770,000. Everybody wants that, right? So that's why everybody's like, okay, what is this? What's going on? But unfortunately, it also brings a lot of skepticism, like who is like regulating all of this growth and all this exchange? And another reason why Bitcoin has gotten a lot of fame is because of the high-profile arrests that have occurred alongside Bitcoin. And according to Sue Resinger, I think that's how you say it, author of the National Law Journal, on February 3rd, 2014, federal complaint accuses Charlie Shem, a CEO of BitInstant, which is a company that manages Bitcoin, and Robert Faya, a Bitcoin exchanger in Florida, of money laundering related to drug possessing and other illicit products using Bitcoin, a non-government virtual currency that cannot be traced. And this CEO and the consumer brought a lot of heat to Bitcoin, and this is why it's gained a lot of like famous and infamousy, ridiculous return on investment, but also there's a lot of illegal activity that's happening with Bitcoin. So now that I talked about why Bitcoin has become so famous, let's talk about, okay, what can it potentially be the future or not of our currency as we know it. And Bitcoin, the reason is like Bitcoin is an accounting system that doesn't require central government, doesn't require a centralized bank, so no one takes a fee from a transaction that you do. You know what I mean? So, and according to Banking on Bitcoin, a documentary that I watched, it shows that Western Union is one of those third parties that takes money every time like you send money from one place to another. And now, it's not too bad, but if you look at it, a lot of people don't like that, for one, and then two, a lot of people can't afford the money that they're losing through all of these transaction fees. Bitcoin is a way to just go completely around that. And then, another thing though, that documentary also explains how the reputation of Bitcoin has actually been tainted because of all the illegal activity that has happened with money laundering or drug possession and all these different things that are going on. So it's kind of like, yes, it's a way to bypass a lot of different things, but at the same time, it has a very bad reputation where people are just not wanting to participate in it so quickly as before. And now it actually has gone down to about $7,500, which is still a lot of money, but it's not $20,000 as what it used to be. So now that I talked about whether or not it could be the future, now it's time to wrap it up. First, I talked about what is Bitcoin. It's a cryptocurrency that uses blockchain in order to handle all of its transactions. And then I talked about why it's gained so much fame. It has a lot of money. It brings a lot of money for your return, like for investment, but at the same time, a lot of high-profile arrests. And lastly, I talked about whether it could be or not the future as we know it. And Bitcoin is innovative, exciting. However, the uncertainty and risk of this new accounting system, especially because it is so contrary to the normal system set in place, brings a lot of fear, skepticism. So I wanted to ask you, would you drop out of school and would you spend all your life savings to potentially become a millionaire like these guys did? Leave that up to you.